on artificial intelligence, the way we can connect it with law, legal education, and this is a very relevant program for each and every person who is related to legal education, who is related to practice, and be it mentoring or anything related to artificial intelligence. We will be learning a lot here, and if anybody is doing research also, we all know that artificial intelligence is definitely playing a big role in this. And we are coming to the main part of this session, but before that I'd like to point out the relevant topics and the honorable speakers who will be joining us every session. So today we'll be having two sessions after our inauguration program, beginning Professor Kavita Singh, who will be speaking on advancement of technology in an emerging area for crimes for criminal law. And then in our next session for today, we'll be having Mr. Neeraj Kumar, who is in training and development, who is an HR himself, who will be training us in application of AI tools in creating PowerPoint presentations. So we all know how PPT is very much relevant for our day-to-day lives. And if we have AI in our sides, we'll be facing a lot of. हमारा पहला conversation है जो 10 मिनट से ज़्यादा चला है. So close, yeah. I request everyone to kindly mute yourselves. All right. So next we have our Dr. Soumya Rani, who will be teaching us on application of AI tools during the framing of research manuscript. And in our next, we have G.R. Raghavendra, Dr. G.R. Raghavendra, who will be teaching us in intersection between IPR and AI on inventorship and authorship. Next, we will be having Sri Shorbojit Choudhury, and he'll be teaching us an ethical approach in application of AI tools in judiciary. Then we'll be having Dr. Ajay Jamnani, who will be teaching us on impact of AI in teaching learning process. And then we have Mr. Tanmay Agarwal, who will be teaching us in leveraging artificial intelligence for legal research via professional tools. Then we'll be having Professor Anirban Mojumdar, who will be teaching us in interaction between copyright and AI. And we'll be having Professor Dr. Helena Sengupta, who will be teaching us on application of AI tools in creating data analysis and Excel sheets. And lastly, we'll be having Dr. Samragi Chakraborty, who will be teaching us on importance of application of AI tools in legal pedagogy. So without further ado, I'd be honored to introduce our respected director, Madam of Techno India University, West Bengal. Professor Reena Paladhi, ma'am, has been associated with the Techno India group since its very inception in the year 2001. And ma'am has graduated from Calcutta University and has done her master's from the prestigious IIT Kharagpur. She has been awarded a PhD degree in 1991 from IIT Kharagpur, and also awarded the CSIR postdoc fellowship in 1996 to carry out her postdoc research at IIT Kharagpur. She has been associated with IIT Kharagpur for about 15 years. She has worked in the research and development scientist in Ryan Stalbros Limited and as project associate in IIT Delhi as well. She has presented several papers in many conferences and has written many national and international articles which has been published in national and international journals. She has authored a book on engineering chemistry published by Tata McGraw-Hill Education. I welcome you, ma'am, and we are very honored with your presence.
Thank you so much, Anjali. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Respected Vice Chancellor, dignitaries, HODs, my dear colleagues, and all participants. It is my honor and privilege to be the part of this FDP on artificial intelligence and legal pedagogy, organized by the Department of Legal Science, Techno India University, West Bengal. Techno India University, West Bengal is the first private university as one of the renowned universities in the state of West Bengal for generating, disseminating, and preserving knowledge. This university is extremely honored to host this faculty development program on an emerging topic, which is currently the need of the society. On behalf of the Department of Legal Science and Techno India University, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to all the eminent speakers, dignitaries, and all the participants across the country. I'm extremely glad to share that this is the second initiative of the Department of Legal Science to organize such faculty development program to upgrade the knowledge of faculties. The objective of this faculty development program to equip faculty members with a thorough understanding of artificial intelligence and their application in the legal domain, to introduce variation in the legal domain, to introduce various teaching methods, integrating AI tools, to enhance the effectiveness of modern legal education. And this FDP is also expected to discuss on ethical, legal, and societal implications of artificial intelligence, and also to promote research in the AI domain, which have societal impact in legal field. So during this 5-day FDP, there will be discussion on about 10 interesting themes on application of AI in legal field. We express our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Dr. Padmavati Manchikanti, Professor Rajiv Gandhi School of Intellectual Property Law, IIT Kharagpur, and all the renowned and eminent speakers for accepting our invitation to deliver the session. I'm sure that your session will be extremely fruitful and will add value to the participants. I congratulate and I appreciate the initiative taken by the Department of Legal Science, Techno India University, West Bengal. My heartfelt thanks to each and everyone behind the realization of this faculty development program. My best wishes for the grand success of this faculty development program. And I once again like to thank each and every panelist speakers for their presence online and to educate our faculty members who will be helpful for the society. So I wish a grand success of the seminar. Please give your best to make this seminar successful and fruitful. Look forward to having wonderful session ahead. All the best. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was such an honor to have you with us here. Now we'd be introducing our very own Dr. Shomiran Chattopadhyay, who is the Vice Chancellor of Techno India University, West Bengal. Dr. Shomiran Chattopadhyay has more than 3 decades of experience in teaching and research. He has been frequent flyer between academia and the industry. He has his glory as an academician in terms of being a visiting professor in several universities and in India and abroad. He has won several accolades and has worked in several committees in UGC, AICTE, and the state. He has served as a professor in the Department of Information Technology, IT, at Jadavpur University, and visiting fellow of the University of Northumbria, Newcastle, at Tyne, UK, as an adjunct professor of IIT Kharagpur, and is a co-faculty at NPTEL. He has also served in the industry houses including Motorola Incorporated at Arlington Heights, Chicago, NEC Japan, Computer Associates, TCG Software, Inter Systems India Limited in several capacities. a gold medalist BTech and MTech in the Department of CSE IIT Kharagpur. He obtained his PhD degree from Department of CSE Jodhpur University. His research works are in the areas of machine intelligence and its applications, wireless networks and network security. He is the author of about 200 articles in reputed journals and conference proceedings, including more than 70 high impact journal publications. An artist at heart, he writes Bengali poems, essays in Bengali tallies, and is fond of music and cinema of all sorts. In short, he is a worker by choice and never intended to be a leader. Sir, we are so glad that you're here with us today, and we are extremely honored, sir, to have taken out some time for us. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Very good morning to all of you, uh, our director, madam, the HOD, all the faculty members, all the dignitaries, invited speakers who are present today, and all the, I mean, I think it's a PTP, so I hope that the teachers and the students, and uh, a very good morning to all of you, and welcome to this FDP. Um, Law is as much as distant from my domain of work. AI and computer science is similarly nearer to my domain of work as well. Now, I must say that for for some time now, for at least 2 3 years now, I am trying to forge a bridge between uh, AI law, I mean AI technology and law. I recently have gone through, I mean, maybe for a year or two, I have gone through several seminars, several um, discourses in which I found that uh, a, one of the most enriching field for the application of AI would be legal sciences. However, I'm not also sure that how much our country is poised to utilize it, because when I wanted to even create a bench data set, I found out that our digitization basically means that it is just digitized as images. They are not digitized in the form of retrievable documents. Most of them are not. However, our CGI Chandrachud, before being CGI, headed a number of commissions, including the one in which he introduced e-courts and everything. And courtesy that we have uh, proceedings live streamed, and I mean, so in a form, therefore, we can have a digitized version of the court proceedings as well. So that's one aspect of it. I mean, a few days back, particularly in the wake of this accident, incident, whatever, uh, mm, we were discussing, and it came that basically our legal system takes so much time to come to a conclusion for anything that's under the sun. And one reason for that was probably a proper, I mean, I maybe a good amount of percentage. I have many lawyer and justice friends, seniors, and they said that maybe a good percentage, 50 to 70%. They said, I don't know, of the whole proceedings that happens could be actually summarized, and that happens in abroad, by which the actual legal proceedings will take a much lesser time. So it means uh, avenues or immense ways of helping the legal department, particularly that means the citizens, is there. And I hope that this particular FDP brings you to an understanding of what this technology, not only AI, the whole of technology, IoT, etc., everything, brings to the table of lawyers, how much they should know about technology, how much technologists should know about about legal sciences. Uh, so, in fact, as I'm saying now, I'm working with a startup to have a chatbot which uh, can help citizens to have some kind of an, I mean, guidance, help to find out lawyers, etc., and basic queries that we ask and we do not know uh, about those things that chatbot might help us. So, I have a start. I mean, I work with a startup. They are doing that. I also worked with IIT Kharagpur. I don't know who came from IIT Kharagpur. Who came? I'm very close to IIT Kharagpur. I'm a regular visitor there. I'm an alumni from there, and I know Saptoshi and all. In fact, Saptoshi, PPC, myself, and others were engaged in a project of called Raje or under Raje at TCG Crest. It was a 2 years project. Was supposed to create a good amount of, at least not good, small amount of digitization of things and a summarization technique at least, uh, so that lawyers can mm, help, can get help from the outcome of that project. Um, as always, as basically what happens with Indian projects. I mean, I have been to the recipient as well as the other side of approval side of it. Now, unfortunately, the outcomes of these projects are very rarely seen in public domain. So I am also not very sure what happened to that. But Saptoshi was there. Saptoshi is a regular worker. There are many other. PPC is a regular worker of AI in law, and they're very passionate about it. My whole point was that nowadays computer scientists take a huge, interest in understanding laws. In fact, I thought that maybe I will pick up a course in law, and get an LLB degree. Somehow, I haven't got into. I'm not very sure whether at this age I'm eligible for that or not. Or your age or you might tell me that. But if I am, then actually I would love to do a course on law, because I thought that having a formal education in something is very important to start a venture in its in the domain of that particular subject. So very I wish you all the best for your adventure into um, technology. And I always thought that I told it to your HOD many times that I wish a master's degree with specialization of law and technology should be available. In fact, I talked about that to NUGS as well, and they probably have a very small specialization for law and technology. Mm, and that's what I want. And so therefore, I wish this FDP to be mm, very successful, and FDP is successful mm, only after it ends. So to me, the outcomes are very important. I'm a very outcome-driven person. So if I see that some initiatives are taken for grabbing projects, for joint collaboration with the people from outside, particularly in an interdisciplinary manner, then only I will say that the FDP has become successful. So I wish that the FDP is successful in that sense, that I think it is successful, and I wish you all the best for your mm, five. I mean, whatever 3 or 5 days FDP, and mm, that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your beautiful words. It was really encouraging for us. Uh, Now, without further ado, I'd love to introduce the head of the department, Dr. Debashri Chakraborty, who is a highly accomplished legal professional and academic with extensive experience in the field of law. She holds a PhD from WBNUJS, focusing on atrocities against women in cyberspace, and an LLM in corporate law from Hidayatullah National Law University. Currently serving as the HOD of Legal Science and in charge of HOD of Women's Studies at Techno India University in Kolkata, Dr. Chakraborty has over a decade of teaching experience in prestigious institutions. Her research interests span various areas of law, including cyber law, women's rights, and criminal justice. She has published numerous articles in reputable journals, presented papers at national and international conferences, and contributed many book chapters in several edited books. Dr. Chakraborty is actively involved in organizing academic events, guiding PhD students, and participating in faculty development programs. Her diverse expertise, coupled with her commitment to legal education and research, makes her a valuable asset in the academic field of law. We welcome you, ma'am. We are so honored to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Am I okay? Respected Vice Chancellor, India University, Professor Dr. Shamina Chattopadhyay, respected Director Academics, TECHNO India University, Professor Dr. Rina Paladi, Honorable Guest of Honor, Professor Dr. Padmavati Anchikanti, Rajiv Gandhi School of Intellectual Property Law, IIT Kharagpur, faculty coordinators Professor Anjali Karmakar and Professor Ekta Mukherjee, esteemed colleagues, distinguished speaker, and my dear participants. Good morning, one and all present here. It is with a great pleasure and a sense of pride that I welcome you all to the inauguration of our third faculty development program for 2024, focused on the theme artificial intelligence and legal pedagogy. As the head of the Department of Legal Science at Techno India University, I am honored to be a part of this esteemed journey where we explore the intersection of technology and law, a domain that is rapidly transforming the legal landscape. Reflecting on the success of our previous FDPs, I am reminded of how each program has progressively built the foundation for more advanced discussion in legal education. In 2022, our FDP centered around legal research and pedagogy, where we discussed the innovative teaching methods, research tools, and challenges of legal education in a modern context. The discussion we enriched by the collective wisdom of resource persons. We shared valuable insights on the data analysis, research ethics, and role of examination in legal education. Following the momentum, our 2023 FDP was themed Dynamic Shifting of Legal Education and Teaching Technique in Light of NAP. This program was particularly significant as it addressed the transformative changes brought about by the National Education Policy. We explore how legal education must adapt to these shifts, incorporating comparative legal research, curriculum development, and the interplay of technology in education. The response was overwhelming positive, and it was clear that our faculty was ready to embrace these changes and take legal education to new heights. Today, as we inaugurate the 2024 FDP, we stand on the brink of another exciting chapter. The theme artificial intelligence and legal pedagogy could not be more timely. AI is no longer just a buzzword. It is a reality that is reshaping every corner of our lives, including legal profession. This FDP aims to equip us with the tools and knowledge to efficiently integrate AI into our teaching learning processes, thereby enhancing the quality and engagement of legal education. Over the next 5 years, 5 days, we will explore a wide area of topic from application of AI tools in research, legal research especially, to the ethical implication of AI in the judiciary. We will also delve into the intersection of AI with intellectual property rights and how AI can assist in creating more dynamic and interactive learning experience. These discussions are not just academic exercise, but essential dialogues that will shape the future of legal education and practice. I am particularly excited about the diverse range of experts who will be sharing their knowledge and experiences with us. This expertise will provide us insight needed to navigate the challenges and opportunities presented by AI in legal domain. Am I audible now? Before I conclude, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our guest of honor, Professor Dr. Padmavati Manchikanti for grace us with her presence. I am confident that her insight will inspire us all as we embark on this journey of learning. Thank you, and I wish best of luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful words. Now we'll be introducing the chief guest for the faculty development program, that is Dr. Professor Padmavati Manchikanti, who is a professor of Rajiv Gandhi School of IP Law, IIT Kharagpur. With more than 18 years of teaching and research experience in IPR, Professor Manchikanti specializes in patents. She teaches the subjects of patent law, patent procedure, drafting, biodiversity law, uh, and among other subjects to undergraduate and master students of law. Her primary area of research includes implementation of IP laws, drug regulatory aspects, implementation of biodiversity law. She served as a dean of the law school in IIT Kharagpur between December 2017 to June 2020. Prior to joining IIT Kharagpur, she was a senior scientist at Monsanto Research Center, Bangalore, where she coordinated in invention disclosure filing. She has many research as well as consultancy projects from Ministry of Human Resource Development, Ministry of MSME, Department of Science and Technology, etc. She was awarded the Microsoft Young Faculty Scholarship in the Intellectual Property Most Powerful Women in IP 2023. She is an advisor to the IPR cell IIT Kharagpur. She is a steering committee member of the Vice Kiran Internship in IPR program and its course coordinator at the IIT Kharagpur for training women scientists. She has guided 11 doctoral student research and around 60 master students' work. Her article has been published in renowned journals in the field of IP law and has a few patents. She is a member of the important professional bodies such as International Trademark Association, Association of Teachers and Researchers in IP, ATRIP. She is a member of the panel on the strategy and roadmap for standardization in legal services BIS and was a panel of the FSSAI, Government of India. She is the General Council member of the NLU Jodhpur, served as member of the Academic Council of National Law University Delhi. She is also an editorial board member of the Journal of Intellectual Property Rights and Journal of Integrative Medicine. She has been invited to speak at many international and national conferences as well. Ma'am, we are so honored to have you with us, and thank you so much for taking out your time out of your busy schedule. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, Ms. Karmakar, very kind of you to introduce me. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Debashri. Good morning to all the Vice Chancellor, heads of the department, faculty, students, and the FDP participants. It's a privilege, and I'm quite honored to be in this forum, which is going to specifically look at the interventions of AI in law and going to deliberate for a whole lot of time. So given that, I think the pitch is also very important, considering that today there's a lot of discussion on generative AI, and it is important that India also takes strides in these areas. So, once again, thank you for the invitation, Dr. Debashri. Good to meet you online. So without taking much time, I will move to my the lecture on how AI impacts law. And in this, I will be dealing with the general aspects as well as the AI and IP intersect. Is a place where I also work. So therefore, I'll also tell you a little bit about the share with you the research findings, and where do we see the entire area going forward. So let me share my presentation with all of you. So I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible.
Thank you. So this is how possibly in the next half an hour, I will be dealing with the aspect of what is the relevance of AI in the fore of law. And then I'll transcend from there into AI developments, particularly in the area of IP, because I closely work in this particular context. And I will give you a certain general insights, and also in a specific area of healthcare domain where we work. And I'll try to wrap it up with the way forward for AI in general and IP in specific. So before we go into the context of AI, we all know that the discipline of AI has emerged out of the domain of computer science, particularly where you're looking at the domain of where we want to have certain augmentation when it comes to certain computer programs. So how is it that we can enable the computers, the erstwhile computers, to do things beyond, to look like and also behave like human beings? Today, we are looking at more as behave like human beings, and that is where we look at the context of artificial intelligence. I do not know where we are heading into the future, whether some of that will also look like. So that's the challenge and also the opportunity both ways. So there are several facets of AI typically when you look at studying the domain. So one is the machine learning part of it, and then we have deep learning and NLP based processing, and several programs that have come up which come into the fore of different interventions when it comes to the area of AI. And of course, AI has also become a conglomerate in all the transformative technologies for the future. For instance, we are not just looking at AI in alone. Today, it is also AI and what its interventions can happen in relation to metaverse. So it's a phenomenal development of the applications of AI is what we are seeing. But if you go back in time, we're looking at the time of 1950s when the entire thing with respect to AI began, sort of around that time. And most of you must be aware of the Turing test, which became a very popular one in order to determine whether or not human interventions are the control point, or is it computers based things which are the control point. So from there to today, what we see, the growth of AI has been very phenomenal for two reasons. One is that advanced technologies being developed in the computer science domain, and also the digital implementation has further enhanced the availability of AI and the use of AI. Now, when we deal with the area of law, as you may be aware, we are much concerned about definitional aspects. So today we do have a legal definition for what is AI. Several legislations are coming up. If you look at, I'm just giving you some representative examples. For instance, you have in the US National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Act 2020, which under 5002(3) talks about what is an artificial intelligence, the legal definition of it. A machine-based system which has a given human-centric objectives to make certain actions, and which can be realized either in the real or the virtual environments. Now, not only defining AI, many legislations also define AI systems. So therefore, that has also gotten into the legislations itself. Machine learning itself is a term that is now recognized under the law. So when we look at it in the United States, you're looking at it from the perspective of federal legislation. Then you also have state-based legislation. This is uh, an interesting picture, which I have taken it from one of the sources, and it tells you about to what extent individual states in the United States have enacted state-based legislation when it comes to AI. And with greater developments as we see forward, generative AI and the need for generative AI for a greater expansion under the legal framework is already being looked at. Apart from the National Intelligence Initiative Act, there are several other legislations relevant to AI which also should be looked at from the perspective of the overall implementation of AI. Now, of course, you must be aware of the most recent EU regulation, which has brought in the Artificial Intelligence Act in the EU, which defines what is an AI system, a general purpose AI system, and deep fakes today are also defined as per legislation, as you can see here. Now, why is it that we are looking at AI systems? We are looking at AI systems because of the operability of the AI systems. When AI systems are operable, it is important to understand how or in which way they are operable in terms of the outputs that they generate. And also, we need to appreciate that such outputs may be risk prone. And so, therefore, we are not only just looking at the use of AI and how AI should be looked at in the physical world or the real world, but in the virtual world, but we are also concerned about the risk framework so far as the AI systems is concerned. So, if you look at the EU regulation, also brings in high risk, moderate risk, low risk, and those categories are spelled out, which helps the developers as well as those implementing understand the overall framework
Excuse me,
of.
ma'am.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but ma'am, your slide is not moving. It's still in the introduction page.
Oh, okay. I'm moving this. Is it moving now? No.
No, ma'am.
I'm at the EU slide. It's not showing you to you.
It's at slide 1, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Then I'll have to reshare it with you because I am at the EU slide at this moment. Okay, good. Thank you for telling me. I'll maybe once again share it with you.
Uh, Now it's
Sorry.
moving, ma'am. Now it's at slide 4.
Okay, then maybe just let me project it. Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic. I'm moving it. Did you see it's moved to WIPO AI and IP conversations?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, you may share the PPT with us. We can share the screen from our end.
Okay, from your end. Okay, okay, all right. That also can be done. Yes, let me quickly share that then. Okay, let me come out of this presentation. Okay. I'm just sending it on the email to you. If you can.
Ma'am, you have shared the PPT over mail.
Yeah, I'm just sending it.
Okay.
Yes, I've sent it to you now.
Ma'am, we have not received your PPT yet.
Oh, I see. I have already sent it to you. Maybe if you can refresh your email, maybe there may be a lag or something because I've sent it to you already. Or I can share it again. I've already sent it to you. It's
Received. Yes,
showing.
ma'am, received.
You've received it? Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so and whenever we have to change the PPT,
Yeah,
ma'am, you please tell
I
us.
will say the next one so that. Sure, sure. Please, yeah, please do project it. If you can project it. Are you able to share it?
Ma'am, kindly wait for just 1 minute. We'll be able to share the screen right now.
Okay, no problem.
Ma'am, it's done. We are now at slide 4.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Are you projecting it on the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you may start.
Okay, but I don't see the slide on the screen. So, are everyone able to see this? Is everyone able to see it?
Yes, ma'am. We are all able to see the PPT.
Okay. Okay. Then since I'm not able to see it, so I will share. I will open up the PPT here to discuss that. Yeah, because I'm not able to see the slides which you're projecting. All right. Let me open up the slides here for myself. If all of you are able to see it, that's fine, since you're projecting it from there. So I'm at slide 4, and I'm discussing the EU regulation when it comes to the AI legislation. So I was just telling you about the aspect of the AI systems and how AI systems are into different categories based on the risk framework. Now, very interestingly, you must also realize that deep fake has also been defined, which talks about either it's an AI generated or a manipulated image or an audio or video content, and which actually resembles existing objects, places, entities, persons, and or events. So this context also becomes very critical, because today the most of the internet crimes are based on deepfake, and we do not yet have uniform regulation, one, to begin with. And if you look at it, country based regulation also, we are currently accommodating it imperfectly in the existing legislations. So this is going to be a formidable challenge that we see from the purview of the general law itself and the enforcement of law. Uh, and it's not just about the crimes, cyber crimes, but this is deeply going to also affect the societal fabric. And so therefore, what could be the stricter regulation is it's a matter of how we need to look at going forward the developments under law. So Today, we know that many countries have implemented several AI tools when it comes to criminal law investigations, particularly assisting. Today we are in the era where AI is assisting the police in the investigative process. Uh, Most often, it is also that some of the programs are also being used to identify, track, and monitor, but courts have not yet really looked at taking that as a part of the main line of evidence, and still we depend on the traditional system. So as we go forward, we really need to look at how we are going to look at the substantive part of the law developments and how procedural things will change when it comes to looking at crimes in general and crimes on the internet. So this is one facet that we are looking at. Now, from the perspective of the evidentiary value of AI generated or AI assisted, it's mostly assistive, it's not yet into that AI generative, AI assistive processes. So it's going to be very important to look at that context as well as we move forward. Because in the process of investigation, AI can tell us the patterns. AI can tell us the predisposition. AI can actually be very enabling in nature. But then, to what extent we are going to implement that is going to be time dependent. It's also going to be dependent on how jurisdictions are going to interpret this facet of AI. Now, AI has pervaded into different sectors, as you may be aware. We are looking at transportation, heavily now dependent on AI. Healthcare is also dependent on AI, and education also. You have a lot of developments in AI. In any case, if you look at the e-commerce, has now become quite pervaded with the aspect of AI. It is one thing to AI processes and tools, and it is another thing when we talk about data and data privacy. So today, the entire area of AI is not just about the core aspect of how AI is being looked at from its developments to its applications, but also where it interfaces with other areas. So, in all these so-called frontier technologies that we say, where we are talking about AI, blockchain, IoT, metaverse, how do we look at the intersect of these are also become very important. And of course, we are also looking at a separate context of generative AI. It is going to be quite formidable for not only the lawmakers, but it's also going to be quite formidable for administrative agencies in order to implement the law in relation to either specific aspects of AI or the generalized aspects of AI can also be looked at under the fore of a particular law. So obviously, systematic developments in this area are going to inform us the way we go forward, and where do you really need to look at regulatory mechanism as one of the powerful mechanism of looking at the boundaries of AI and the risk associated with it. While I'll not go into the details of the general context of AI and law, since I particularly work in the area of AI and IP, I'd also like to share with you some of the important developments in this area. Now, the World Intellectual Property Organization has a dedicated conversation which is called the Conversation on AI and IP. I would like you to move to this slide 5, please. So far we have had 8 sessions of the Conversation on AI and IP. When did this all start? It started in the year 2019 when WIPO decided that AI is going to have a very transformative ability when it comes to the area of intellectual property. So the very first thing that they wanted to discuss was the impact of AI generally on IP policy. And the conversation was also included stakeholder comments, which they sought from different parts of the world, which included the individuals, which included sorry, I think it is, yeah, it's slide 5, yeah. So it included individuals, it included organizations, international organizations, it included even institutions. and was a very, very important meeting to look at the overall perspective of AI and the context of IP. So more or less, you can say the foundation was laid in this particular meeting on where and to what extent AI can extend to. The next meetings were a set of meetings in the year 2020 when the second and the third conversation on AI and IP happened. And slowly, the momentum gained on the need to look at what encompasses AI, and therefore definitions of AI became relevant. And are we looking at the context of AI generated works or AI assisted mechanism? This is another thing which got again introduced into the second and the third conversations. Now, the fourth conversation is where we look at the linkage of AI and data, because by then we have realized by 2021 that a huge amount of data transformation has been possible because of AI tools, which brings in how do we look at the context of AI and data and the extensions of data in terms of data privacy, data identification, and the norms in relation to data and data control. So the conversation specifically looked at data and the aspect of the global IP system. And then the session 5 of the conversation dealt with how are the IP administration systems going to react to accommodating AI works under the respective IP laws. To that extent, you must be aware already that several works in the fore of copyright, inventions that are the outcome of use of AI have become a subject matter of disputes and at the several fora. So therefore, that became another important context to realize. Given the fact that the area of AI inventions began to expand into really large number of patents being filed, companies having greater interest in the area of AI almost into every other aspect of products and services, the patent offices started recording a huge number of filing of patents in relation to AI. And that is where the sixth conversation focused on, in the same year 2022, on a dedicated session on AI and inventions, looking into the fact of how are we going to look at the context of inventions from the perspective of AI, where the use of AI is there. Now, the seventh session, which is the more recent last year session, focused on now the newer developments and how AI interacts with those developments. For instance, you're looking at metaverse and the developments of AI which contribute to it. The more recent, the conversation on AI is the eighth session, which has begun to expand the generative AI context and what are the norms, how do we look at intellectual property paradigm in the context of generative AI. So this is one important thing, and I would encourage the participants to individually go through the summary documents of each of these. Of course, it's going to be very difficult for to go through the individual documents. So at least if you are able to go through the summary document of, let's say, session 1 to session 8, it will inform you about the considerations that are coming up from individual countries on one end, organizations, and also the developing thought when it comes to the area of AI and intellectual property. So I would actively encourage you to read those summary documents. I've been fortunate enough to participate in the significant number of sessions on AI and IP at the WIPO conversations. I joined in as an observer for some of them. The next slide one, please. So when we now let us look at how AI has impacted the area of IP. I know that in this FDP you will be having elaborate discussion on the copyright paradigm, the patents part of it as well. But I would like to give you a glimpse of how are we seeing the jurisdictions reacting and the evolution of the law. Now, what you see on this slide 6 is the context of copyright. Now, the AI applications in relation to copyright have been filed in significantly, if you see, in some of the jurisdictions. particularly if you look at the US, India also has an example. The context of authorship has now a new dimension. Can AI be an author? Is the fundamental question that we are now addressing as a part of the applications that are being filed at different patent offices. For instance, the USPTO had received several applications. One application, which is an application for a visual work, another one, which is a comic. Now, wherever there is no human authorship, the patent office is rejected, because still at this point of time, we are looking at IP laws, not machine centric, but person centric. And therefore, since we do not have the context of a machine taking a patent, therefore, or a copyright, if the patent office decides that the predominant guidance that it has is that does not involve human authorship, then it would reject the application. Now, an Indian, Mr. Saini, applied for a copyright application in the year 2021 for Raga, which you may be aware of, and himself. Now, the question that comes is that what part is the creation by the author is the question that needs to be addressed. And so therefore, that is one determination that is very important when it comes to the copyright forum. And this is where if there is a lack of such a determination where the content creation cannot be envisaged, then oftentimes the patent office would reject such applications. Here what you're seeing is the work created as Suryast, the two-dimensional artwork. Now, post this entire set of scenarios that the USPTO is facing, the USPTO has realized that it needs to develop a specific guidance document for copyright registration when it comes to AI works. So today, that is an interesting development that we see. 2023, we have the guidance for copyright registration for works containing those generated by AI. So this is a very interesting development that we see. And if you also are aware that there are other several guidelines that the USPTO has also developed in this regard, which I'll be taking up a little while later. To the next one, we are looking at the context of another IP. I'm on the slide 7, where we are dealing with the aspect of inventorship. Now, what is it about inventorship? Now, the law recognizes natural person as an inventor or entities, legal entities. Only the natural person as inventors. Legal entities can be owners of patents. So, the developments in AI have also led to patenting activity and an increase in patenting activity. And it is here that we see several applications being filed in different parts of the world. And some of those instances are interesting for us to look at from the perspective of the individual patent offices. The UK Patent Office received, in 2019, the UK IPO received an application which is filed by Stephen Taylor on the perspective of use of AI. Now the question is, does AI meet the threshold of inventorship? And that is exactly what it is. And just as in the case of authorship, machines are not subject matter for inventorship. And that's what is the clear mandate. On appeal, it went to the High Court, and then the interpretation of the law became relevant from the perspective of the Section 13 and Section 7 of the Patents Act 1977. On establishing the identity of an inventor for this particular application. So the court, in a very, very simple sense, talked about the context of inventorship and the distinction of what is an inventor to what is an owner of a patent. So at this point of time, we are very clear across jurisdictions that AI in its own cannot be an inventor. Another similar case came up in Australia, and we had the interpretation of the Patents Act 1990 under the Australian Patent Act. Again, Taylor had filed multiple applications in different jurisdictions, and this one was also a subject matter of that rejection at the Australian Patent Office, because a system or a device cannot be identified or treated as an inventor under the law, under the patent law. And so, therefore, on appeal, it has gone to the High Court, and then finally, the interpretation of the Patents Act, the decision affirmed that when we say inventor, it has to be a person, and AI cannot be treated as an inventor. So this is another important development when it comes to. Now, South Africa also has seen applications by Stephen Thaler, but South Africa doesn't have a substantive examination procedure. So primarily it is granted, but the formal, the actual examination of the patent not being done leaves open the question of the validity of this particular patent application. Now, the US has similarly seen the filing of the patent applications in relation to, the area of AI, particularly with Stephen Thaler, are also filed there. And again, in this case as well, the need for establishing inventorship became a very important consideration, and therefore, since it could not, application data sheet that has been submitted, there's an application data sheet that needs to be submitted along with what we call the non-provisional. A non-provisional application is a complete specification with complete details of the claim to the property in relation to an invention. The application data sheet does not mention a person as an inventor, but DABUS as the system. And so therefore, the law is again the interpretation of 101 and 10 and 35 USC 100, which is the 35 USC being the United States Patent Code, talked about how is it that we are looking at. We are only looking at individuals, which are persons, can be co-inventors, and that is where we are looking at this standpoint when it comes to the interpretation under patent law. So some of these developments, of course, there is also an Israeli patent office case, and the more and more we are looking at this context, we are looking at the interpretation of an existing law when it comes to the fore of looking at determining authorship vis-a-vis determining inventorship. It is philosophically, Taylor was of the opinion that since he did not develop it, and the AI is the one which extended it, he would not claim any inventorship. But then our law is limited to looking at it from the perspective of the association with the natural person, so, or the entity, when it comes to legal entity, when it comes to ownership. So where do we see the entire context of this developing? These are some glimpses that I gave you on the context of copyright and in the context of patents. So what is coming out of these cases, where you see the patent office rejecting, some of them going beyond on appeal, and some of them are being also addressed by courts and just not the appeal boards, beyond even into the courts. We are seeing what is called the interpretation of AI in the context of entitlements when it comes to the author or the inventor. This is one part of it. Now, the other interesting development that we see when it comes to the patent offices is therefore the development of guidelines for examining the AI-related work. What I gave you in an earlier instance was about the copyright guidance. Similarly, you have guidelines for patents as well, where you have guidelines for AI-based inventions announced in the European Union, announced also in the case of US. So systematically now we have expansion of guidelines which are read in relation to the specific provisions. So with the elaboration of that, it's going to be in some sense certain on how AI applications will be examined at the patent office. If you move to my slide 11 here, I am discussing the sum and substance of where we are looking at the context of AI in general, and where we are looking at the context of AI, particularly in the area of IP. Now, I gave you a general context of AI and criminal law. Now, you know that AI is also going to give you some help in the assistive process when it comes to courts utilizing that for greater ease. It's more of that from the administrative point only, but not for the interpretation of law. It also gives us when it comes to different legal paradigms and the practice associated with it. It also gives you trends in relation to how do you see future cases. So there are a lot of AI analytical tools which one can utilize to understand what are the kind of precedents that are used in a particular set of cases, and based on that, how do you see individual courts responding, and that gives you that helps people as law firms, or in the case of other metrics that can be drawn when it comes to the AI in the general legal area. Then AI and implementation of AI in relation to different laws which are relevant to our societal makeup is also going to become more pervading. For instance, if you're looking at transportation sector has received a lot of implementation of AI, and today we know that AI can be also used even if as an assistive mechanism, where policemen need not go to the place and give you the fine, or you've breached a motor vehicles act, but at a very remote location also they're able to. This is because of a lot of AI assistive mechanisms. So this is one part of it. The context of liability is also expanding when it comes to the area of AI, and I'm not going into it specifically here, but that is one context that's worth examining. And of course, when we look at the context of IP law, it will be very interesting to note that the expansion of AI inventions and the further claim to the property in relation to AI inventions. So how it is going to be accommodated under the IP law is going to be very interesting to see going forward. We also we'll be seeing, I'm sure, a lot of guidelines on AI which are going to be sector specific. For instance, for inventions, we have AI guidelines at the PTO. But even beyond that, if you look at it generally also in the society, you are going to have AI guidance documents which will inform users on how AI-based applications should be utilized to avoid the risks associated with AI. So therefore, this is going to be very interesting. I would believe that if I'm not oversimplifying it, that what you see as a dosage instruction on a medicine carton, maybe in the future for AI applications, we are going to see something like that as an instruction to the use of AI. That's going to be something which is going to be very interesting. Metaverse and IP is a bigger area that is developing. AI has a lot of implementations there. I'll quickly move to the 12th slide. If you can move to the 12th slide. Here onwards, I'd spend about some 10 minutes or so discussing with you some of the work that we do in the area of AI. We particularly work in the area of healthcare, and our interest was to look at how in the area of healthcare you see the IP space. And one of the IP spaces that we studied is the area of patenting activity. Now, one of the areas where AI has had a significant impact is the area of healthcare. Moving to my slide 13, please. So what I'm showing you here is that today we have a definition of what is called a software as medical device. So to give you an example of where is it that we are seeing the value of a software as medical device or AI intervention in healthcare. Now, typically when a doctor is looking at an X-ray, a chest X-ray, a doctor can make out 25 different diseases using a chest X-ray. But a doctor with a more experience would be able to detect, look at finer details of what should be the possible diagnosis. Doctors do spend a significant of time only diagnosing, and that obviously leads to time delays when it comes to patient receiving the prescriptions, or even if it is meaning hospital admissions and the further process of the healthcare requirements. So AI tools have been developed where this can be an assistive mechanism to a doctor. So preliminarily, the AI tool will suggest or give an indication that this is most likely the outcome out of this particular chest X-ray, then the doctor will look at it only to corroborate it. So therefore, these are all what we call software as medical device, software itself being used for one or more intended purposes, medical purposes. And here we are not looking at an implementation in terms of a hardware when it comes to medical device, because it is running through so much of it. So it's like you looking at a lot of big data when it comes to hospitals, and all of that systematically AI is giving us the information on that. So software itself as a medical device is a very important development, which internationally was norms were spelled out by the International Medical Device Regulators Forum, and there are several other developments. And today we have products which are software as medical devices, a significant number of them approved by the different federal drug regulatory authorities. So all of these are also patent protected. Now comes the important aspect of, so where is it that we're looking at the value of intellectual property when it comes to healthcare? And so what you see on slide number 14, if you could go to that, is this aspect of not only preliminary diagnosis, but as virtual nursing assistants, cybersecurity issues, remote diagnosis, robotic assisted surgery, fraud detection. If there's any dose error, then those kind of detections, and even hospital management has become much easier. So today, if you all you need to is implement that into a mobile system or a computer system, and you can actually track your when is it that you need to, what is the time you will be in the queue, and what time is it going to take you to meet the doctor, to do all that that goes on even beyond. So all this has been possible obviously because of the developments in the area of computer science and the applications arising out of that. So the nature and extent of applications in the area of healthcare are very profound, and it is increasing. In the next slide, this is a very simple representation of a traditional approach when we look at it in the healthcare to an AI-based approach. Certainly the scope and reach has increased, that is for sure, what we see today. And AI is going to bring down the costs tremendously, because there are time delays, there are costs in terms of infrastructure, there are also costs in terms of admission. Today, even remotely, you can access healthcare, and one of the important things is the implementation of AI tools. And the companies like IBM, GE, and many others have come up with what you call the AI platforms for assistive healthcare. And that is where you see, like for instance, IBM Watson was implemented over 200 different hospitals in the United States. Of course, later on there were difficulties and some risks, and so therefore it has been limited. But then you have Edison for GE, which has been developed again as a platform for handling the entire certain processes of the healthcare. So the AI systems, in the area of healthcare, we call them expert systems. So the expert system use are actually platforms which are AI based, and they can be a great help when it comes to the area of healthcare itself. And that is relevant for not just only the primary healthcare, but even secondary and tertiary healthcare systems as well. So when we looked at the mapping of the patenting activity, particularly when you're talking about the area of healthcare, we saw a trend in relation to what are the sort of technologies being utilized for the development. What you see in this middle panel to what you see on the right panel in the in the dark blue color is the entire interventions in the healthcare in terms of the assistance, where it is being offered at different points of time, whether it is diagnosis in terms of ECG, or it is assistance to the doctor, to developments of hospital management part of it, or to platforms that are used for diagnosis and also even the prescription and monitoring of healthcare. I'm moving to the 17th slide, where interestingly, a lot of startups are also into the area of patents in this particular area. And so we also mapped what are the AI-based tools that the startups are developing, how have they claimed property rights over them as patents, and where do we see them implementing some of these in society, in terms of the products that they're bringing in. So this is just a representation of that. I'll quickly move into the next one. As an example that I've taken is SIG-tuple, which is developed by an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur, and this is again a very good in vitro diagnostic device based on AI. And it is also going to bring down the amount of time relevant for diagnosis, and also enable more easy now, another example of such a tool developed is by another startup called Niramai. And it was a great fortune that we could interview many of these people and understand what is the motivation behind developing these AI tools, motivation to seek IP, and then how do they look at implementing it in the society. For instance, Niramai is a tool which is being used for healthcare, particularly for diagnosis of, or rather, the whether or not a person is predisposed to breast cancer. And more than 20,000 people across in the country have been already screened. And it is non-invasive, does not have any side effects, and it's more easy to use, and you just need a simple setup. So this is covered by a patent application in India. You also have the patents not only just granted here, but they have also taken patents in several other jurisdictions. So what you're seeing on this panel in the right corner is the same set of patents but in different countries. So they become a part of a patent family. So a wonderful implementation of an AI application coming from a startup. So this is just to give you an instance that there's enormous scope for AI even for us to develop and even utilize. I move to the next slide, which is slide 20, where I'm discussing the aspects of therefore, when you look at some of these developments, what did we see? We saw one interesting trend is that it is oftentimes, especially if you're looking at the pharma and healthcare, it's oftentimes big companies, transferring technology by, out licensing, and, many other companies are, developing the products for them, or, marketing it for them, those kind of scenarios. But in this scenario, we also found something interesting, that startups are transferring their technology. So big companies are buying technologies from startups. And on the other hand, we also saw very good collaboration happening between companies and startups, companies and institutions. So we mapped some of that so how is it that the AI platforms are being used to generate the further IP? And this is one instance of where I'm discussing the developments, and like for instance, Stanford University collaboration led to the use of benevolent AI platform to look at how that can be used better for biomedical information gathering that. Then so several of these are examples where you're looking at different diseases and how the applications can be extended to. So a lot of collaborations in the area of AI and healthcare we have noticed. We have studied them to understand where is it that they're collaborating on, what technologies, and what are the outcomes, and on what terms. So that was a very interesting study. This is yet another representation of how Atomwise is collaborating with all these different what you see in the next slide 21, these different organizations to develop further applications. Again, the GE Edison platform, how they are using it for collaborating with different hospitals, universities, and other companies to develop solutions in the area of healthcare. Now, I'm at my slide 22, where it is not just only looking at the collaborative space of IP that we were looking at. We were also corely interested in how the licensing of AI inventions is happening. What are the ways in which we look at the license agreements, and are there any peculiarities? So, well, it's more or less similar to the pharma area, but then we saw that the reach is much higher. And so therefore, you typically will have hospitals, doctors as part of the the implementation. And so therefore, you have typically agreements also talking about several of these where implementations are going to be done. There are annexures on how it is going to be implemented, and a lot of schematic diagrams on the beginning and the end application, and how the training, all those things. So So a lot on the expansive scope of the implementation is also covered, because that is where we see that it's not just the IP part of it, but also the core technology, the know-how licensing also happens in these scenarios. So some of the questions that we posed in relation to this are: who is providing the component, who will use the component, and the use terms are going to be very important, because AI is so can be, as a general predictive, it can also be fashioned into a more specific predictive tool. So therefore, how do we put in the monitoring clauses or the grant back clauses is also very relevant to understand. So this is a small part of the initial work, I should say, but the general healthcare work we have really explored more of the time. Licensing part we have not done much, but some part of it, but there's more scope to look at it. And obviously, licensing information no one shares. So it is our good fortune that at least few companies we discussed with them, and they tell us exactly how they have gone about modifying certain clauses, inserting some new clauses, because AI is itself such a emerging area, and the interventions can be quite a bit. I move to my last, last almost, this is the last slide. So what I gave you as an instance so far about, our experiences, more particularly in the area of AI and healthcare, where we have done empirical research to look at where is it, that we see the growth of AI. And amidst that, we've also looked at the Indian scenario and a bit on the licensing part of it. So sum and substance is that where do we see, as you are so many participants into this FDP, how is it that you can utilize the context of AI itself? And this is where it becomes very relevant, because there is increasing uh, application across several sectors. And I would believe that the education sector has also already realized the applications of AI. Now, in the education sector, one can use AI as a very enabling mechanism, particularly, let us say, when we talk about laboratory work, when we talk about optimizing use of solutions, when we talk about lab management, AI can be a very powerful tool to where we can utilize that in education. Now, there are also flip sides of AI. You've been following possibly the open AI disputes that are happening across. AI can also be a formidable challenge, because today the context of creativity of human beings is going to be subtly changed, because if you're going to become so very dependent on AI, then the question of how much of the human creativity vis-a-vis AI-based information is going to be the big question. As a reviewer to many journals, I also sign up that I have not used AI to review work. So this is something which is very it's an interesting development, right? And oftentimes, I'm sure you as teachers, and I'm also a teacher, also would have to face the formidable challenge of looking at the reports that are submitted, the projects that are submitted. Are they really based on human creativity, or are they AI generated? So this is going to be a challenge, obviously, for all of us when we look at some of these aspects. But yes, it helps a lot in assistive mechanisms. So the job of a teacher of consolidating a whole lot of material becomes more easier if you're using an AI application, particularly if you're looking at cross-country comparisons and or cross-sector comparisons. AI can be a very good assistive mechanism. But then the human part of that is missing, possibly, because the teaching component also has a human element in terms of interaction, understanding sensitivity of each individual, understanding the ability of individual. We have not yet seen AI being able to do that. So will teachers will continue. That's what it is. But AI can be a very assistive mechanism. Transportation, yes, a great amount of implementation, and yes, the criminal justice system is also more taking more strides in terms of looking at greater use of AI. Yes, while I talk about this, it is not only just important to create greater awareness of AI, but I think we need to really clearly understand the risks associated with AI. Especially if you're looking at the banking sector, personal information, these become very critical, and people may lose their life, and that's a big risk, and people may be impaired in what they do, and that can be a big risk. It can also lead to social discrimination and classification, which can be disadvantageous, whether you call it profession wise or also even the living wise. So that's something we need to really look at as we go forward. Um, while there is greater certainty with AI, just like as we have seen with many technologies, this is another technology, if manipulated and if not checked, can mean greater uncertainty. So therefore, that is something we need to really. The risk framework has to be developed well with several control points and several and also being binding in nature, bringing it under the floor of law. Otherwise, we are going to be touching something which is going to be more dangerous than fire, I believe. Uh, AI is going to impact society, and as we look at even generally, digital technologies have impacted social behavior. Now, how is AI going to change that social pattern? Is we are yet to see. What will be the readjustments in society? Is AI going to really foster culture, or are we going to move away from it? Is a question to ask. So and yes, there is an imperative need for every sector-based application of AI for development of a regulatory framework. And I'm one person who works on the regulatory framework when it comes to the pharmaceutical area, but I believe it's very, very critical. And this is not just going to be the general framework, but also we need specific frameworks for regulation. And another important thing is, which I was dwelling on when I was preparing the slides for this talk, is that do we have an option not to use AI? Uh, is a question to ask. So, with increasing pervading use of AI in different applications, are we bound to be systematically? Are we ingrained into it? And do I have a right not to use AI? Is a question more from the legal end to address. It's going to put us into a pattern, and would that pattern really help in the need to preserve diversity in the human race? Is a question that we need to address. So I think these are some of my just a few thoughts that I thought, which will let us see what the future of AI is going to pan, one the law wise and the other even in the area of intellectual property. Thank you so much for your. I'm moving to my last slide, which is a thank you slide, please. And thank you so much for your patience. And more recently, we published a book on AI and drug development, which is a work that my PhD student was involved with, and I also separately researched on some of those aspects. So, a culmination of that into a book. So, I would encourage you, if you would be interested, you can pick up that. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Participants, I encourage you all to ask a question to ma'am, because she has been delivering us a very insightful presentation, and her words were extremely, extremely knowledgeable. Ma'am, I am so grateful to have you here with us. So, participants, I encourage you all to please share your viewpoints on or any questions in this regard. So I believe that none of the participants have any question. So there is a thank you message for ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, madam.
Yes, please.
Madam, my question is. Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Madam, just we are talking about AI risk. We are talking mainly risk about AI. In some context, why don't we think like AI is also legal right of all the human beings? everybody should avail the use of AI. We are most of the AI, this technology is evolving, and their aim and objective is to democratize the AI. So why don't we think in the positive perspective that every human being should avail the AI technology?
Yeah, I think that's a good viewpoint. I really appreciate your question. Yes, I think that has been the case for all technologies, right? When we are looking at democratizing, for example, let's say genetic technologies, or you call about new medicines, rare disease medicines. Yes, I do agree with you. But look at the transformative nature of AI. So that's the problem. So it is an intervention that can more severely affect society. So yes, I am for using AI. I'm not saying that not use AI, but the ramifications of AI must be understood well for its
Okay.
better use. So that is where we need to look at. So today, applies even to even the other technologies. See, if you're looking at genetic engineering itself, there was this huge outcry, right? My goodness, that means that we're going to modify human genome, And yes, today we are doing genetic repair for human beings, but it is a responsible regulation has been developed that to what extent you can edit a genome.
Okay.
So therefore we have to have a responsible regulatory framework developing. Till that time, we have to watch it very cautiously, because well, that's what it is. Any transformative technology, not just AI, one has to understand the level of risk associated with it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, what about ethical? Absolutely.
Shoma has some questions.
Yeah, ethical issues are paramount actually, because there are strong ethical issues that AI is also going to bring in. Some of the later conversations on AI and IP have also discussed the ethical paradigm. And yes, I mean today very difficult to the traditional notion of ethics to what we are looking at it in terms of implementation. There's a subtle ethical paradigm. Is it going to make us more unfriendly? It's an ethical paradigm, right? Is it going to make us more decisive in a in a wrong way? So normally, if you look at human abilities, we look at testing out things A or B, and we are testing out, and then only we come to a conclusion, right? On most likely this is the scenario. But if I'm going to use AI, am I going to evade? I mean, am I going to avoid the ethical part of it? Is a question to ask, because my dependence on AI has become so much that I'm going to possibly avoid the ethical framework, and that's the big danger. This is from a citizen perspective. But if you look at a habit formation, AI can become a very good habit formation. Oh, AI has done this, so I'm not going to relook at it. See, ethics is something which we have developed as humans, right? Society, time to time, the shifting point of ethics we have experienced. But what about AI? So the ethical paradigm is also very critical, please, because yeah, that's what it is. It's a good question, please. Yes, certainly. And I think a lot of work should be done on ethics, ethical AI. See, if you look at the European Union, or if you look at many other countries, are looking at the ethical framework on AI as well. But what is an ethical framework is also going to be looked at from a sector perspective, right? So that I think I'm sure some of you would be taking forward studies in that area. It's going to be very interesting.
Ma'am, another participant has a question that in terms of AI in medical field, would it lead to dominance of a few companies because they fund and they get the technology which may not be possible for smaller ones?
Yeah, I think we are going to face a lot of anti-competitive issues, because that's the reason why I have put on the last part. In the last slide, I said ought to use, not to use AI. If initially AI will come with the promise that it's going to lower healthcare, but is it going to really lower healthcare? Question to ask. Then am I being migrated without my knowledge into an AI platform which otherwise I don't require? So if I go to a hospital, hospital will say, no, no longer you need to open a hard copy file. We have an AI system, and for all patients, whether you're coming from rural, semi-urban, urban, a file is created. So what happens to the actual diagnosis? I don't have it in hand. I have to download it. So I'm compelled to, you know, to look at digital implementation. The conversational part of the doctors and the entire healthcare mechanism, I may not be able to access. Secondarily, the entire AI platforms can, as you rightly said, can be, not just dominant, but abuse of dominance can be a scenario. That you have to use this platform in order to get my healthcare. That is abusing. And then at that stage, the question becomes on access and availability. And therefore, if there is no access, no availability, yes, much of this can be a serious ground for an anti-competitive and tie-up. You will see tie-up certainly. Use this to get that. That's a tie-up. And another scenario, a tremendous amount of information asymmetry. In a normal system, I knew पर्ची लेना है आपको वहां जाना है. You go to the counter. You meet the doctor. You know a list of doctors. Now, I would believe that hospitals are not going to have a listing of doctors. You will read them on your mobile application. So the more and more, the lesser public information is available, the more and more the information asymmetry can be built. And more information asymmetry, more anti-competitive value can be possible beyond that. So yes, absolutely, I agree with you. Not just dominance, but it's abuse of dominance, right? That's where the anti-competition comes. Dominance is not a problem.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. And we are so lucky to have you here with us. And we'll be, carrying forward this knowledge that you have provided us with. And so it was a wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you very much, and all the best to all the participants. Thank you, Dr. Devashree. All the best. All the best. Thank you. So if you allow, I will leave the meeting now.
Okay, ma'am.
Thanks all. Thank you. Thank you.
Participants, our next session will be beginning in 10 minutes, and we will have Professor Dr. Kavita Singh with us. And once she joins, we'll start the session. For now, kindly do not leave the meeting, because again, then you'll have to wait in the lobby. So we encourage you all to keep yourself muted and your camera off. And once Kavita ma'am joins us, we'll let you all know. Thank you so much.